Hello and welcome everyone to episode 77 of the Stardom Cast. I hope everybody's having a fantastic day. I hope you're comfortable. I hope that you're either too warm or too cool, or you're just having a fantastic day and you're enjoying the final few days of summer. Because here, your Uncle Matt Turner, your host of the Stardom Cast, Matt Turner, we have an absolutely loaded show for you. Lots of stuff to get into. I hope everybody is better today than they were yesterday. I hope you're better this week than we were last week, because that's the goal, folks, is that we're all in this together and we're all here to get better. Yeah, we have a lot to get into. I know that I try to keep these podcasts roughly around an hour. I don't think it's going to go an hour because we have two nights of the fantastic five-star review to five-star tournament to review, and the fantastic Stardom X Stardom 2022 pay-per-view to review as well, plus loaded notes. So and plus we have lots of news as well. So before we get into that, I just want to thank anybody and everybody who came out for my 20th anniversary match this past weekend. It's really nice taking pictures with all the fans. Thanks to the people who couldn't make it out, because I know we have listeners all over the world, and I thank you for the fantastic messages that you sent me on Twitter and or the Instagram. I greatly appreciate that. And for everybody that did come out to see me wrestle, I do want to apologize, as unfortunately you did not get the best version of myself. I was wrestling on a very beat up foot and ankle that I shouldn't have been walking on, let alone injuring, let alone wrestling. So I was pretty beat up going into that match. So I did everything I possibly could to get through and give you everything that I had. So now I'm just going to take maybe a few weeks off from wrestling to rest up my injury and get back in the ring to be as close to 100% as possible. And thanks to everybody that ordered a shirt. Between what I shipped out, the week before and this week as well, I think I'm only down to like 3 more shirts left. So if anybody's looking for the 20th anniversary, the Tales of Honor, the homage to the very first appearance of Iron Man, let me know, because they are going fast. And if you are a Patreon member, let me know, as you will get a discount, as some of the Patreon members will tell you, because I shipped them a whole bunch out to any of the Patreon members. So again, thank you so much for the support. 20 years of this, it just means so much to me, and I got a lot left in the tank, folks. So, all right, enough about me. Let's talk about the fantastic world of Stardom. So, okay, a day after I recorded last week's episode, it was announced that Kari came down with COVID and she would not be able to compete at Stardom X Stardom against Saya Kamatani. Obviously a huge blow, as that was probably going to be like maybe the biggest, highest drawing match between ticket sales, between pay-per-view buys, and between once the pay-per-view goes on Stardom World. I think a whole bunch of people were going to plop down the $7 and change American to watch that match. So obviously a huge blow. And then for me, I hyped up really big on the preview show last week. I was really looking forward to the tag match with Mike and Himika versus Amisori and Mirai. I thought that was going to be an absolute show stealer, and maybe something that we would see somewhere down the line, maybe in the Goddess of Stardom tournament. Maybe even a finals preview. Who knows, depending on how the brackets shake out here as we're getting into the fall months. So obviously 2 matches had to be changed, as Himika took Kari's spot, and then so Himika got a white belt title shot. And obviously, we'll go through that whole entire show towards the end, because that is the main event portion of the podcast. Also was announced, I believe, the day after. That might have been the Friday, because whatever the day the G1 finals were. So I was watching the G1 finals, and I know this isn't the New Japan podcast, but I got caught up on the majority of the G1. Really good, solid tournament. The finals was absolutely fantastic between Kazuchika Okada and Will Ospreay. Probably my favorite match of the year. I think I liked it than both Briscoe's FTR matches, and I think I liked it better than the Saya Kamatani versus Starlight Kid Wonder of Stardom Championship match. I think that's my new match of the year. But anywho, so it was announced that coming to New York City will be New Japan and Stardom for a pay-per-view. So New York City is only about 2 hours away from me, so more than likely it looks like that I will be there. I'm 99% sure that I will be at that show, which for me means that's 2 New York City trips for me in the month of October, as the first week of October I will be traveling for my annual New York Comic-Con trip with my good buddy and my tag partner, Andy Heder. And then later on that month, I will be taking the trip again into New York City for the New Japan and Stardom show. So if you do plan on going or are going, let me know. Let me know. Hit me up. Maybe I'll buy you a beer. You have to be of age, though. You have to be of age. Then I'll bet. If you're not, I'll buy you a root beer. How about that? So, or a water, or a yoo-hoo. So, yeah, it's exciting. That's going to be exciting. So Stardom's first foray coming over here in the States since I believe they were over here WrestleMania weekend a handful of years ago. So I'm super excited for that. So super excited to meet the fans, talk to the friends and family of the Stardom cast. Okay, also, again, lots of news to get into. They did announce the brackets for the IWGP Women's Championship. They did announce the names, but they announced the brackets that the semifinals will be taking place or at Royal Quest 2 in England. So that's gonna be huge. And they did announce that they would have the finals, which would be on the same date as the Stardom X New Japan show in November. And they also said the first title defense will be taking place at the Tokyo Dome. And Rossi Ogawa also did say that there is a mystery person that will be announced at Korakuen Hall on the 27th. Now, Saturday the 27th. Usually this podcast drops on Friday, which by my calculations will take it to the 26th. So the day after you hear this podcast, we will know who this mystery person is. And he said that it's a non-Japanese Joshi-style wrestler who's unbelievably famous. Obviously, the big rumors going around the mill are Sasha Banks. Britt Baker is probably number 2, and Toni Storm is number 3. Now, I will say this. As far as the Sasha Banks things go, my personal phone got hit up pretty well from my friends asking, that loosely follows Stardom a little bit. I keep telling them, guys, it's only like $7.50. Pay for the service. It's well worth it. You're spending more than that money, more than that on stupid, coffee or stuff that, that's not as good as Stardom for you. Anywho, that's another rant for another day. The basic theory that I have is if it is Sasha, which they usually, when they hype up these big announcements, they usually deliver. They delivered on the Kari. Obviously, the whole EO thing, they never said anything about, so you can't say, well, they tanked on EO. They never, said a word. That was, pretty much just us, giant EO and Stardom fans, thinking that she was coming back, kind of building it up. But if he said it's, somebody that's like unbelievably famous, and Sasha and I've said it on the show numerous times, Sasha has said that she's very interested in working in Japan. She's very interested in working against Mayu. And that's a very good possibility. That's her and Mayu in the finals. And then maybe she goes over and she wins the belt, and then she drops it to Mayu at the Tokyo Dome. Because if you look at the tag teams that were announced for that same show, the Stardom X Stardom show, yeah, Mayu's not in there. You have Okada and Utami. You have Micah and Goto. That's an awesome team right there. You have Zack Sabre Jr. And Julia. And then you have the MMA duo of Tom Lawler and Shuri. And then they had the Cosmic Angels with El Desperado, and there was a couple other ones in there. But my point is, you announced all those teams, and you never announced, the person that was at the press conference, Mayu. Mayu was at the press conference. Whether she's the champion or not, she's the face of the company. She's the icon. She's their go-to person for press and everything like that, just because she's literally been there since the start. So you don't mention who she's tagging with. I mean, obviously she was there with Tanahashi, so maybe they, at the last minute, they kind of say, not last minute, but maybe like as the tickets go on sale, they say that she's teaming with Tanahashi or she's in the tournament, which I strongly believe that she is. So, like I said, it's a possibility. It's a possibility that she may, now that Triple H is, again, I know it's not the WWE cast, it's the Stardom cast. Now that Triple H is in charge, we've already seen some major shakeups in a very positive way. Obviously, they wanted her to come back when she walked out when the old man was still in charge. I'm assuming that Triple H probably personally reached out to Sasha saying that he wanted her back. Obviously, he did great things with her when they were together in NXT. It's a good possibility that she may have said, like, look, I will come back under your regime, but you have to let me go work Stardom X amount of dates per year. That is a good, that's a very good possibility. It might very much be like an open door policy. And something else, too, that you have to understand, when Triple H was really coming up in the ranks, when he was teaming with Regal in WCW, there was a lot of wrestlers that had the same deal that maybe Sasha's trying to work out. Maybe that's just in our heads, like, Doc and Gordy. They would come in for certain dates in WCW, and then they would go over to Japan. Stan Hansen, Vader, Steiners, et cetera, et cetera. I think Rick Rude, Steve Austin, I think they had something of a similar deal where they were signed to both companies where they would go overseas to work a certain amount of dates. So I think that's a real possibility that, obviously that's something Triple H saw firsthand when he first started really getting noticed in the business, working down in Atlanta. And maybe that's something we said, in order for us to keep you, if that's what makes you happy at this point, then that's what we're going to do. We'll send you over to Stardom X amount of months per year, but then you'll be, your main thing will be under WWE contract. Or she could have just asked for her release, and maybe she'll just go back and forth. I don't know. I don't know. I think there's a real good possibility that it is going to be Sasha Banks. If not, we have the Britt Baker, Tony Storm thing as well. I mean, but he did say somebody that's unbelievably famous, and Sasha Banks is one of the most recognizable faces in the world when it comes to women's wrestling. So, yeah, it's gonna be an exciting. We will find out. We will find out here again as you're listening to this, probably less than 24 hours. So let's rock and roll through this. Okay, so we started out with a three-way tag match: Saya Kamatani and Lady C versus the kind of reunited Cosmic Angels team of Mina Shirakawa, Mai Sakurai versus Shuri and Amisori, representing God's Eye. Right from the get-go, you see the team of Mina and Mai already having problems. Why wouldn't they? Mai Sakurai deserted the Cosmic Angels to go team with the evil Julian over at Donald Del Mundo. So I thought that was a good little way to start the match. Giant swing from Lady C onto Mai Sakurai. Mina and Saya Kamatani have a really fantastic exchange, and we'll talk about that more on the Night 8 show as well. Action's really nonstop from all four women. Match goes a little bit less than 10 minutes, and Shuri pins Lady C with the buzzsaw kick, paying homage to her trainer, Tajiri. 3.5 stars, very good. Okay, we're just gonna kind of just roll pretty much right through these two shows, and anything of significance I'll kind of stop and talk about. And if there's a match that you want me to further elaborate on, you know how to get a hold of me. Okay, so there's just a lot to get through. Okay, anywho, I will stop rambling. Match number 2, Unagi, Red Stars block match. Unagi, who's coming in with 0 points, versus Saki Kashima, coming in with 2 points. Saki teases Unagi early on with the Artist of Stardom Championship belt, which I thought was that was a cool little thing there, because in a week's time they will be the Cosmic Angels will be challenging Oedo Tai for the Artist of Stardom Championship belt. Good way to build some heat ahead of their pay-per-view match. Some good striking changes between the two of them. Saki's getting a little bit more violent, I've noticed, with her strikes. She's throwing a lot more kicks, a lot more forearms in the 5-star, really bringing in the heat there. Unagi fires back with the big boot. She hits the shell shock for 2, and then she hits the thanks for your service, the TDA for the win, in about 6 minutes, 2 seconds, 3.5 stars, as she gets her first 2 points. We jump over to the Blue Stars block as we see Julia, who would have ever thought, Julia coming in with 0 points, taking in Hana, who's coming in with 0 points as well. You can see the improvement in Hana, right out the gate, just how comfortable she seems in the ring against like the top tier here in Stardom. We've seen it in the Mayu match, we've seen it in the Momo match, we've seen it in the Saya Kamatani match. And I think Julia right here is like the perfect opponent for her, because Julia, we saw it in the the Miyu Hamasaki match on the last New Blood, that Julia always gives a little bit extra, to the younger talent. That she's not going to drop the fall, but she does a great job making them look as best as they can. So I thought that was good. I mean, that's huge. That's just a credit to Julia that they can trust her. One, having a great match, whether it's a main event level, whether it's somebody on the mid card, or it's somebody that's super young that's working their way up from the bottom up. I mean, you can just tell Julie is a great teacher, both in and out of the ring, and that's what you want to have. That's just a great trait to have as a professional wrestler, or just as a human being in general. No matter what your job is, if you can teach somebody to make them be better, I mean, that just makes you a good person. So maybe I shouldn't have called Julia the evil Julia a couple of minutes ago, but anyhow, Hana stops Julia's early onslaught with the judo throw into the knee bar. Julia counters the rocker dropper into the rings of Saturn. Hana fights back with a pair of rocker droppers for 2. Hana has added that wicked pumping knee to her offense. We've noticed that in this 5-star. She does that almost like smaller, like V-trigger, like that pumping knee. I thought that was really good, and Julia did a really good job selling that and feeding for it. Really good. Hana hits the Hanan special for 2. Hana escapes a glorious driver into the leg lace roll up for a near upset. Julia did a great job kicking out a 2.99. I mean, even the crowd really bit on that one. Julia eventually catches Hana in the octopus stretch, but she has deemed the spider web for the tap out. Match almost goes 9 minutes, 8 minutes, 58 seconds. I have this at 4 stars. And I think this is like my all-time favorite Hana match. I thought this was absolutely fantastic. And again, Hana's improving so much. And when you're in the ring with their ring general like Julia, who is, pretty much can't miss, this whole entire year, this match wasn't going to miss. But yeah, this is the match that I would, if you haven't checked this one out yet, or if you're looking for other matches to go back, definitely go back and watch it because these two were on point. And the one thing that I was really impressed with, the ring positioning, timing, there's no wasted motion. I mean, they got everything they could get in 9 minutes. And that puts Julia on the board with her first 2 points. And speaking of somebody that doesn't have any points, we go back to the Red Stars block. Momo Kogo has a goose egg going against the 2020 winner, Utami Hayashishita, who's coming up with 6 points. Utami takes the early advantage with her strikes and her clotheslines and her power, but it's cut off early by the perfect dropkick by Momo Kogo. Utami catches Momo's 619 attempts and really lays into the young Momo, really, making her earn this first 5-star, which, if you remember, she wasn't invited to in the first place. This was Tekla's spot, but I think Momo's doing a really good job. Momo comes back with a double stomp and then a successful 619 attempts. Utami takes the advantage back with a series of clotheslines and hits the reverse torture rack bomb. 5 minutes, 34 seconds, 3.5 stars. That puts Utami up at 8 points, and poor Momo Kogo is still at 0. We stay at the Red Stars block match, Red Stars, as we see Maika, who's another one surprisingly has 0 points as we're into night number 7, going against Koguma, who has 4 points. Right from the get-go, they play back the little fear that Micah had back in the wintertime, where Micah still fears the bear. I thought that was funny. I forgot about that until it started, and then it just clicked in my head like it happened yesterday. I thought that was good. Koguma gets a quick few near falls right after the bell, just because Micah's scared of the bear. I thought that was really good psychology. Micah then chases Koguma through the crowd, and then Micah hits a Buzz Sawyer style power slam, follows up with a few lariats, and then Micah hits a perfect suplex, and then she goes for the Michinoku driver, but Koguma slips out and hits this beautiful German suplex. At this point, the crowd's really coming up, really getting into this. Koguma hits another German suplex, but then Micah, strong style, fighting spirit, pops out of it, hits a big lariat. Koguma goes to the Koguma roll. She escapes, hits the discus lariat, follows up with a Michinoku driver for the win. 3.25 stars, 8 minutes, 44 seconds. And Micah's another one who's been adding some new offense into this 5-star. We just talked about how Hana with the pumping knee, but I like how she's using the discus lariat and then rolling right into the Michinoku driver, almost as like her kill finish. I thought that was awesome. And Michael gets on the board, 2 points. Hopefully we see many more points from the former finalist here. Okay, we stay over into the Red Stars block match. We have a pair of 6s. Himeka coming in with 6 points and Azumi coming in with 6 points. Azumi starts with her high-speed offense for some near falls, takes the early advantage on Himeka. She hits a double stomp off the top. That was awesome. She kind of just wears Himeka down with the high-speed offense. She gets Himeka on the floor, and she hits that beautiful double stomp to the outside. But Azumi, if by chance, if you're listening, be careful of those ankles and those feet, because as you get older, I'm telling you from example, I'm doing all the crazy stuff that I do, my ankles and feet are susceptible. But hey, I guess do it while you can. She's only, 19, 20 years old? God bless her. I thought that was awesome. And then I thought it was really cool that Himeka rolls from the outside in, and she gets hit with another double stomp for a 2 count. I thought it was really cool psychology how she chained the 2 double stomps back to back. In case you didn't see the first one, here's the second one. Himeka tries to fire back with some forearms, but Azumi uses her high-speed offense to take out Himeka's arm. There's that psychology that we've seen Azumi use a lot in her high-speed title matches. Is she'll use the high speed to kind of wear her opponents down, and then when she gets to the second gear, then she goes to the arm to the arm offense that sets up the Azumi Sushi and the numero uno and the arm bar. She sets up for the numero uno, but she gets caught off with a big Samoan drop. Himeka gets a big lariat to create some separation. As you see now, she's on the cell. Very good there. I thought that was excellent there, and it gets the crowd into it. Builds the crowd anticipation to see what's going to come next. I thought that was a really good spot where to put it in that match. Himeka locks in at the high angle Boston Crab. She tries for the JP coaster, but Azumi lands on her feet and hits a big head kick. That was, Azumi's very short. She's one of the shortest person on the roster, and Himeka's one of the tallest wrestlers on the roster. So I thought that was a really cool visual that she was able to get the JP coaster and then lands his head kick perfectly flush right into Himika's head. That was very impressive. Azumi tries to hit a Hurricanrana, but she eats a power bomb. Oh, Azumi. Why would you? That's Himika's one of her go-to. Why would you put yourself in that situation? Then she hits the JP coaster for 2. Himika hits a series of lariats, but Azumi just won't stay down. Get a lot of fighting spirit in the high-speed champion. Himika tries for the concussion bomb, but Azumi counters with a Canadian destroyer, and then when she pops up, Azumi hits the Azumi Sushi. 8 minutes, 17 seconds. I thought the flow of this match was fantastic. The psychology was good. They sold where they needed to sell certain things at certain points. They slowed it down when they needed to slow it down. And the finish, I mean, Azumi is just as smooth as silk, isn't she? Like, that finish was so good. She hits the Canadian destroyer, and then when she pops up from it, Himika's arm is right there for the Azumi Sushi. Stacks up their bigger opponent. 8 minutes, 17 seconds, 4 stars. Azumi is, people are talking about like the best wrestlers and who's having the best matches. A lot of people are highlighting Hazuki, and I think, to me, she's still number one. And as well as Utami is having a fantastic 5-star Starlight Kid, Momowan Tanabe. But I don't think enough people are talking about Azumi. I think she's having a terrific 5-star, and that puts her up at 8 points too, as she's towards the leader of the block. Match number 7, and I believe, no, I'm sorry, I thought that was our main event. It was not. Match number 7, we go to the Blue Stars block, where we have the Cinderella champion, Mirai, with 6 points, taking on the leader of the entire 5-star, Suzuki, with 8 points. So some solid back and forth wrestling to start. Really sets the pace here. Hazuki goes after Mirai's arm, and then she follows up her arm work with the signature face washes. So we're already setting up the psychology of the match, where Hazuki's trying to take away one of Mirai's weapons. That arm to this way it negates those brutal lariats that she's just been destroying her opponents with this 5-star. Mirai tries to fire back with some forearms, but the previous damage has taken its toll on Mirai's arm. Again, psychology. Really, really smart. Smart strategy by Hazuki. Hazuki tries to go for the pump kick, but Mirai blocks and hits a Stan Hansen-esque lariat. Boy, I tell you what, she put everything into that one. And again, this shows the fighting spirit. She's throwing those forearms. She can't get everything in because she's selling the arm. And she put everything she had in that lariat to create some separation, as Hazuki was really blitzing her here. Mirai hits a few more lariats, but as she covers Hazuki, she locks in the double wrist lock on Mirai. I thought that was cool. A little taste of her own medicine. Just like, working on the arm, you're using her arm to try to put me down. You're basically trying to block away any pain that you have, all the pain that you have, and whatever's left, you're trying to finish me off with. But now I'm going to use your hold on you. I thought that was really, really good, and it got a good pop from the crowd. Then she floats over in the Ring of Saturn. Mirai gets the rope. She hits the pump kick and follows up with a flurry of big moves, which includes, she just went all out here. She went all in, basically. Michinoku driver, senton, another Michinoku driver, and the sheer drop brainbuster gets the win, puts Hazuki at 10 points, 4.25 stars, 10 minutes, 29 seconds. Absolutely fantastic match. I'm assuming that everyone has seen this show, but if you haven't, please go back and watch this match, because this was one of my favorite of the entire tournament. The psychology was just absolutely fantastic. And then once Mirai got a little bit of an advantage, Hazuki goes back to the arm. And then once she sees that little bit of window open, she knows she has to blitz. And she sure does, with the 2 Michinoku drivers and the sheer drop brainbuster. Nice sense of urgency on Hazuki. We move on to the main event of this show. We go to the Blue Stars block, which we saw Momo Watanabe coming up with 4 points, going up against Natsupoi coming up with 4 points. Right from the get-go, Poi hits a few beautiful arm drags that sends Momo Watanabe to the outside. I don't think she gets enough credit for how good of a base she is when it comes to like these smaller, faster, like lucha-based style wrestlers. Because she's right there where she needs to be. Perfect positions for these arm drags. Really, really good. Natsupoi tries to go for a dive, but Momo kicks her right into the head, and then she follows up with a series of punishing kicks, locks in the crossface chicken wing. Natsupoi comes back with a series of low drop kicks of her own that sends Momo to the outside, and then she finally hits the big dive. Again, psychology, folks. We're building up the dive. Natsupoi tried to go for it about a minute in. Momo wasn't worn down enough. The crowd was like, oh, I really wanted to see it. You take it away, and then about 3 minutes later, we give it back. So that's just the roller coaster and the art that is professional wrestling, especially when it comes to masters like Natsupoi and Momowan Tanabe. And then Poi German suplex Momo into the apron. That was brutal. That was brutal. While she was on the floor, not on the apron, but the two of them are standing on the floor, and she hits the German suplex onto while the two of them are standing on the floor. I think I'd rather take that while you're both on the apron, just because you kind of have an idea where you're gonna land, but like when you're both standing on the floor, you're getting German on the apron. That can do some major damage to your neck or your upper back. So no, thank you. But God bless Momo for taking it. But if you've seen Momo Watanabe, you know that she's taken worse stuff than that. God bless her. Natsupoi throws Momo back in the ring, sensing sense of urgency. She goes for the Pharaoh gift, but crashes and burns. Momo follows up with a Meteora high kick combo. Momo tries to use the wrench, but Poi counters with a super kick and German suplex for 2. Natsupoi finally hits the Pharaoh gift for 2. When Momo kicks out, Momo comes back with a big head kick and a B driver for 2. Momo counters the Pharaoh blink into the bastard driver. That was a really cool visual. As Natsupoi, they're kind of at even tier here now. They're kind of hitting their big moves. We're getting towards the end. It's basically who's going to hit the next big move first. Natsupoi goes for the Pharaoh blink, and Momo just powers out, hits that brutal bastard driver. But Natsupoi gets up at 2. Momo quickly follows up with the punt kick with the wrench and the Peach Sunrise for the win. I had this one at 4.25 stars, 10 minutes and 5 seconds. I thought this was great. No, excuse me. You know what? I actually had this at 4.5 stars. So I guess I'm assuming I like this match better than the Hazuki match by my rating. See that? I talked myself out of that. How about that? I've seen so much good wrestling this past week and a half that I forget what I like the best. So another absolutely fantastic match. So, and that takes Momo to 6 points. We move on to the 20th, the night before Stardom X Stardom. And this show just loaded up on Stardom World. Perfect timing. I just watched it, so it's a little bit fresh in my mind. So we will go through this fantastic night of wrestling. We start with the Blue Stars block. We have Hana sitting at 0 points, Starlight Kid, who surprisingly, I had to double check this, that she was only at 2 points going into this match, considering the fact that she beat Sai Kamatani on her first match. So Hana tries to take away Starlight Kid's speed by using the knee bar early on. She uses a beautiful Iron Cross Northern Lights suplex for 2. Hana really starts throwing some solid forearms on Starlight Kid. Starlight Kid does a really good job feeding and selling for those forearms. So you see Hana using, she's coming back with some really, really good strikes. And then she used a Dominator. Shout out to Ron Simmons. How about that? And then as Starlight Kid comes up, she hits her with a rocker dropper for 2. Crowd really behind Hana. Like really the first few minutes of this match, Hana's almost dominating. So I thought that was really, really cool. I mean, Hana's getting a lot of really good stuff in here. I don't expect her to get many points, but she's going to come out of this tournament, I said it a million times, a way better wrestler. She hits the Hana special, which Starlight Kid kicks out for 2. Starlight Kid gets the advantage back. She tries to for the Black Tiger driver. Hana escapes, and she hits the roll-up with the knee bar for 2. Again, just like in the Julia match the week before. Great job kicking out last second. I love this finish. Hana, sensing urgency, tries for the pumping knee, but Starlight Kid counters with the Dragon Screw leg whip, and then she locks in the Black Tiger leg killer, which they sold really well. Hana knows the submission game. She's very versed at judo and jiu-jitsu, so you can see that she's trying to escape and trying to get to the ropes without having Starlight Kid put her ankle over her throat. And she actually got to the ropes at one point, and then Starlight Kid changed her position, rolled back, and then got the leg over the throat for the tap out. 7 minutes, 19 seconds. I love this match. 3 3/4 stars. And again, this match was like 70% Hana. I mean, she really took it a Starlight Kid here. And again, just that finishing sequence was great, and just how long they held out on the Black Tiger leg crusher, and the fact that they waited until Starlight Kid was able to drape her leg over to Hana to put the choke part in with the heel is when she tapped out. I thought that was really good, and it shows Hana's fighting spirit. I thought that was excellent. So that pulls Starlight Kid up to 4. Hana stays at the big goose egg at 0. Match number 2, we go over to the Red Stars block match where we see a pair of fours, Mei Sakurai taking on Koguma, both with 4 points. As soon as the bell rings, Mei tries a flurry of strikes. You notice it's a very aggressive Mei Sakurai these last few months. Koguma outsmarts Mei Sakurai by using her experience. Eventually, though, Mei Sakurai counters a German suplex by rolling through, and she did a forward. I thought this was really cool. So Koguma gets the advantage back. She tries for a German suplex, which is one of Koguma's go throughs, and then Mei Sakurai does a forward roll through into the STF. I thought that was really cool. I thought it was very well done. Koguma hits the Koguma cutter off the top rope. Mei gets the advantage. Mei Sakurai gets the advantage. She goes for the Mai Pai roll. Only gets a 2 count when Koguma gets to the ropes. I thought that was we've seen Mei Sakurai win a lot of matches with the Mai Pai roll. And I thought this was really cool that Koguma didn't kick out, but she needed to get to the rope. So it's like, almost like the inexperience or the experience. Maybe it's the inexperience of Mei, or maybe it's the experience of Koguma that she positioned herself where she needed to be to get out via the rope. So I thought that was cool because we've seen Mei Sakurai pin Koguma with that move before in a 6-person tag match a few months ago. Koguma hits a German suplex and the top rope splash for the win. 6 minutes, 37 seconds, 3 1/4 stars. Okay, we move on to match number 3, staying with the Red Stars block match. We have Momo Kogo. We all love her. 0 points. Don't think it's going to get much better. Risa Sera coming in with 4. Momo starts out with a blitz of forearms, but Risa Sera just laughs at her. Has no effect on Risa Sera. She just basically just goes right through poor Momo Kogo. Momo tries to come back with a big drop kick. It only phases Risa just a little bit, not much. It only puts a little crack in the armor of the dominant Risa Sera. Eventually, Risa just abuses poor Momo Kogo, takes her to the outside, and we all know what happens here. We've seen the GIFs all over Twitter. Is Mei Sakurai and poor Momo Kogo? How do you not love her? She gives her a giant swing to the weather on the outside and just tosses her like a piece of garbage into the front row. But I thought this was really cool for sympathy heat for Momo Kogo because she gets in at 19, and when she does, really big pop. And if I was the promoter, I would have been like, you know what? Maybe we'll switch it right here. Maybe we'll switch it here and have Momo go over with a rope because at this point, the crowd just feels for Momo. They just feel so bad for her because she's such a great seller. I mean, her selling here, this is just great sympathy. Really good job. As at that point, I think the crowd was like 99-1 behind Momo Kogo. Momo tries to rally with some strikes. She tries to hit with a 619. Eventually, she does. She hits the 619 springboard dropkick as the crowd really comes up, and then she only gets the 2 count. She goes for the 619 again. Risa counters with the crucifix DVD, and then hits the air raid crash, which she has called. Let's see if I get this right. Rasha Hashami. Well, that's what it said. The air raid crash. Kryptonite crunch. 3.5 stars. 7 minutes, 25 seconds. Really good selling job for Momo. Did a great job making Risa look good. And that puts Risa up to 6 points. Match number 4, we go over to the Blue Stars block. As we see Amisori taking on Momowan Tanabe. And we knew what this was going to be, folks. Right from the get-go, we have kicks versus chops. Momo gets the early advantage with the kicks that sends Ami to the outside, where Starlight Kid puts the boots to Amisori. What the heck, ref? Call for the bell. It's a disqualification. You can't be doing that. It's illegal. How dare you? Rude. Anywho, Amisori comes back with a powerbomb and a high-angle Boston Crab to put the pressure on Momo's back. Momo fires back with a series of high head kicks, followed by a Tequila Sunrise and a Meteor for 2. Momo tries to follow that up with another big kick, but Ami blocks it, and she hits 2 big lariats, Blue Thunderbomb for 2. And then the two of them go back and forth. They go back and forth with strikes. Early on in the match, Momo undid the turnbuckle pad, and Momo gets accidentally, air quotes there, whipped into the unprotected buckle and gets planted with like a thunderbolt, which is the name of Amisori's finisher, for the 1, 2, 3. That was a big bump. Momo took that like a champ, and a really cool finish. She eats the Blue Thunderbomb, gets hit in the unprotected buckle, and then Ami finishes her off. I had this at 4 stars. Loved this match, and they got this done in just over 9 minutes. Like a thunderbolt. Like Thunderbolt Patterson, or a thunderbolt from DC Comics. I don't know. Whatever you want. Anywho, match number 5, as we see Julia trying to rack up some more points over in the Blue Stars. She's coming in with 2 points. Saya Ida is coming in with a goose egg 0 or 0.0 for all my Animal House friends. Julia gets the first advantage of the match with using an overhead belly-to-belly suplex, followed up by the Masahiro Chono Shining Black. She tries for the Stealth Viper, but Saya Ida gets the ropes, and I kind of figured that would play into the psychology of the match, going for the Stealth Viper early on, so I kind of figured that would come back. It sure did. Saya cuts off Julia with a top rope power slam. I thought that was awesome. That looked so cool. She follows up with the machine gun Kenta Kobashi style chops. And then Saya hits a spinning muscle buster for 2. Saya goes for the Ida Rock, but Julia blocks it, and she hits a top rope butterfly superplex. And then she follows up with a giant knee strike, and then she hits the she hits the backdrop driver, and then she locks in the Stealth Viper. 3 3/4 stars. This one got done 7 minutes 58 seconds. I really liked how she teased the Stealth Viper about 3 minutes in, and then Saya gets the advantage and just runs rough shot on Julia, and then Julia basically has to hit a flurry. I mean, after the top rope butterfly suplex, she hits she's got to follow up with a giant knee strike. Saya Ida sells back to her feet, dazed, and then the backdrop driver, and then goes back to the Stealth Viper for the tap. Really good psychology, really good way, storytelling. Julia gets the first quarter of the match, Saya gets like the next 30-40%, and then Julia just has to hit the flurry and goes back to the finisher for the win. Excellent storytelling. And that puts Julia up at 4 points. We go to match number 6, which is a non-tournament match. This is like an all-star tag match, this. So you have the Cosmic Angels team of, really 2 tag teams, Tam Natsupoi and Minu Unagi Pink Kabuki, Cosmic Angels, taking on the Queen's Quest team of Utami, Azumi, Lady C, and your Wonder Stardom champion, Saya Kamatani. Azumi and Natsupoi start, which as soon as they get in the ring, they start circling up. Crowd's already into it, because what we're going to see. Some high speed, smooth as silk between these two. These two have fantastic chemistry together. It would not hurt me one bit to see these two, hook it up again in another singles match somewhere down the road. They are in opposite blocks of the 5-star. Had to think about that. So Azumi gets the better of the high speed action. Why wouldn't she? She is the high speed champion and the high speed bomb girl. And that has Tam come in, calling the plays, gets stopped by a quadruple team moveset from Cosmic Angels. I talk about it all the time when it comes to the triple and quadruple teamwork. Nobody does it better than the Cosmic Angels, especially with Tam calling off the play. Then that gets broken up by the former tag champs at the team of Utami and Saya Kamatani. Aphrodite, they come in, and they get the advantage back for Queen's Quest. I thought that was really cool. It's like, okay, you do a 4-on-1. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to come in with our 2 big guns to take the advantage back. And they get cut off by Min and Unagi, Pink Kabuki. They come in they put a hurting on Utami. I thought that was really good. Really good use of the tag teams in this match, how they kind of broke it apart. I thought that was excellent. A really good job to highlight Min and Unagi, because obviously the focus as a team in Cosmic Angels kind of has been taken off them and put on Tam and Natsupoi for obvious reasons, which we'll talk about in the Stardom X Stardom show. So this was a good little shine, for them in the match. Really good stuff. Again, I talked about it earlier in the first show. Really good stuff with Saya Kamatani and Mina Shirakawa. So that's obviously something that they're setting up for their Blue Stars block match. And maybe Mina beats Saya, or they go to a draw and Mina gets a title shot somewhere down the line before the end of the year. It wouldn't surprise me at all, and obviously I would not be upset with it at all, because I'm just a huge fan of the improvement and of Mina Shirakawa, and obviously I think a good majority of us agree that Saya Kamatani is one of the front runners for Wrestler of the Year. Tam comes in, takes over on Lady C. Utami and Azumi slow Tam down for a bit, and then we get the waterfall finishers from every single member of this match. Everybody's, hey, gotta get my stuff in, brother. Eventually leads to a violent shooting from Tam onto Lady C, followed by the Tiger Suplex for the Cosmic Angels win. They packed a lot in this match. They got that all in 9 minutes, 3 3/4 stars. Absolutely love this match. We go back to block action, Blue Stars block. Suzu Suzuki, who is making her second match because she missed the first 2 with, I believe, was it COVID? So, and her matches from those first 2 nights have been rescheduled, so she does not have to forfeit those wins. thank the good Lord, because we want to see Suzu Suzuki in more matches. So she's coming in with 0. Hazuki's coming in with a 0 as well, with a 1 in front of it. See what I did there, folks? So Hazuki's coming in with 10 points. Hazuki sends Suzu Suzuki. Oh, this is gonna be fun. Hazuki sends Suzu Suzuki to the floor with some boot scrapes. She hits her signature dive early on. She pitches her back into the ring, and she follows up with more boot scrapes. Suzu hits she gets her first advantage with a gross headbutt, and then basically the two of them are fighting on the top rope, and shoots a disgusting headbutt, and then hits a top rope Rana, follows up with that. These two just keep throwing forearms back and forth. It's a real hard-hitting action where they're not no-selling. You can see they're fighting through the pain, a la the other Suzuki, Minoru Suzuki, and Yuji Nagata that we've seen in New Japan and Pro Wrestling Noah several times. I thought that was excellent. Really good striking back and forth. Really just the pure definition of strong style. You're fighting through the pain and you're still, giving it your all. That really brought the crowd up there. Hazuki hits a Michinoku driver senton combo for 2, and then she follows up with a code breaker and a brain buster for the win. 3 3/4 stars, 9 minutes, 52 seconds. I was shocked that Hazuki got the win here. I thought that with Suzu at a 0 and Hazuki kind of just running away with it. So not only did she get the win here, she kind of dominated this match. I mean, she really had 70% of this match. I mean, Suzu really didn't have too much in this match, but I thought it was really good. I thought everything she did made sense, and it made Hazuki kind of almost, you have to fight back. And then again, just like she had in the previous match, once she saw that with Mirai, once she saw that opening, she had to capitalize with her combination. So really good stuff. As Suzuki just 12 points, 6 for 6, just absolutely running away with it. We move on to the co-main event, the Red Stars block match, which we see the 2 champions. We have 1/3 of the Artists of Stardom champions, Saki Kashima, coming in with 2 points, going up against the World of Stardom champion, Shuri, coming in with 6 points. They did a good job playing this up on social media that Saki wants no part of Shuri whatsoever. Once the blocks were announced about a month ago, she's like, no, I don't want to be in this with Shuri. She had her back turned the entire time, which is a huge sign of disrespect on somebody of the discipline of Shuri. Eventually the bell rings and Saki begs Shuri to shake her hand, but we know what's coming. Poor Shuri, she falls for it, and she pulls Shuri in for the Kishi Kasai, which everybody, if not everybody, almost everybody in the crowd bought for the finish. I mean, once she pulled her in, you have the oohs and ahs. Shuri kicks out the very last second, only gets 2. Saki Kashima gets up on Shuri early on, and then she wants to go strike for strike with Shuri. Obviously a big mistake. Shuri gets the better part of that exchange, and then she baits Saki to come in with a kick. She catches a high kick and puts her in the white tiger that she turns into the giant swing. Oh, that had to be painful. You just do one wrong move there and you're popping your knee out. That just looked painful. God bless Saki Kashima for taking that. I'd rather take a pile driver on the floor than that, to be honest. Yikes. Shuri just lays on the offense. She goes to put her away with the Ruin, but she escapes with a Kishi Kasai for a 2 count. But when Shuri kicks out, she still has the butterfly the crucifix locked on. She rolls Shuri back for the upset win. Big pop from the crowd. I would have only had this maybe 3.5 stars, but I bumped it up to 3 3/4 just because of how well the crowd popped for everything, especially the Kishi Kasai in the beginning and in the end as well. And at the end of the day, that's what you want to do, is you want to get the crowd invested. So I bumped it up to 3 3/4 stars. This got done 9 minutes and 28 seconds, and Saki Kashima comes up to 4 points, and Shuri, who hasn't seen many losses in this last 12 months, has 2 losses in the last month or so. So we're probably going to see somewhere down the line Saki Kashima getting maybe getting a title shot, which would be funny because we've all seen all of Shuri's title defenses be very competitive as well as they should. So that'd be funny if she does get a title shot and Shuri just knocks her out in 2 minutes. So, okay, we move on to the main event. We go to the Red Stars block where we have the other Saki, all capital letters, or Saki, coming in with 4 points, taking on Maika, who comes in with only 2 points. Again, kind of a shocker that Maika, she's got some work to do, and I think she's going to make up some points here. Really great lockup to start. I'm sure if you listen to this podcast enough, if you do, thank you. You know that I'm a great fan of a good lockup. So as soon as that lockup happened, I had to write that down. Maika gets the first advantage with a beautiful suplex and sliding lariat. But Saki blocks a lariat attempt and does an ankle pick, and she rolls into the pendulum swing submission. That was really impressive. Micah, one of the bigger, stronger wrestlers in Stardom, and I thought that was really impressive. One, how she did the ankle pick and how she just flawlessly rolled into that pendulum swing. I thought it was really cool. Saki hits a superplex on Micah. I was like, how dare you? That's Micah's move. Then she goes to the top rope to follow up, but she gets cut off, and then Micah says, oh, no, you don't, girl. That's my move. She hits a superplex of her own. The two of them go back and forth with a series of strikes, but Saki gets the advantage with a series of running Yakuza kicks. Crowd at this point really, really getting into this, getting really behind both competitors. Saki hits a Michinoku driver for two, but Micah winds up clotheslining her almost off the top rope, and then hits another superplex, and then follows up with the I can't pronounce the name of this move, and I had to ask our good friend Mr. Rob Goodwin the name of the move, and he said it to me twice, and I still can't pronounce it. I tried several times, but he basically told me that it translates to, hold on one second here, folks. I have it here somewhere. I should have wrote it down. Flame drop. The Naka Oshiti. I'm just going to call it the flame drop, folks. So, shout out, Rob. Thank you very much for that. And I actually have another quote from him later on in the show. So, she hits the flame drop, basically the spinning power slam, and then into the Michinoku driver for the win. 12 minutes, 35 seconds. I thought this match was excellent. 3 3/4 stars. Really good, last few matches. I thought this was a solid show that was really anchored by, nothing was over the top. I don't think anything broke 4 stars on this night, but I think everything was in the upper 3 level. So excellent show, and that takes Micah to 4 points. So before we get into the main crux of the show, as we're coming up here on 50 minutes, and like I said, I knew this was going to be a little bit over an hour long. I'm going to do this every show now that we're 8 shows in. As of this record, well, even as you're listening to this, if you listen to it on the Friday, that here are the current standings. The Red Stars. We have a tie for first place between the 2 Queen's Quest members, Utami at 8, Azumi at 8. And then we have the next 4 competitors tied at 6. Koguma at 6, Himika at 6, Shuri at 6, Risa Sera at 6. And then we have 4 competitors tied at 4. Mike at 4, Saki at 4, Saki Kashima at 4, Mei Sakurai at 4. And then we have 2 people tied at 2, Tam Nakano at 2. Oh boy, she's coming. That's got some work to do. Unagi at 2, and poor Momo Kogo at the big goose egg at 0. Okay, now we'll go over to the Blue Stars block. Obviously, we know who's leading this whole thing. Hazuki's got 12. And then we have a 4-way tie at 6. Mirai at 6. Saya Kamatani at 6. Momowan Tanabe at 6. Amisori at 6. Then we have a 4-way tie at 4. So a whole bunch of 4s. Mayu Iwatani at 4. Mina Shirakawa at 4. Natsupoi at 4. Starlight Kid at 4. Julia at 4. 5 people are tied at 4. And then we have 3 people tied with 0. Saya Ida, Suzu Suzuki, and Hana. So we have 4 competitors at 0. Momo Kogo, Saya Ida, Suzu Suzuki, and Hana. A little shocked that Suzu Suzuki's at that goose egg. Again, she's got a couple matches to make up. I see her getting up to 8, 9, maybe even 10 points. I think Saya Ida, I can see her maybe with 2, but I don't see really too much from Hana and Momo Kogo as far as points goes. But obviously, coming out of this as a better wrestler, they definitely are, as we've seen just the improvement in their matches. So, okay, folks, that will do it for that portion of the podcast as we move into the main event. As like I said, I knew this was going to be a longer show. So we move on to Stardom X Stardom 2022. And thanks to my man Darren Chatton, who basically told me that there was over 1,300 fans in attendance for this show. Obviously, another fantastic number. I always say that anytime they do more than 1,000 people on a pay-per-view, that seems to be the area that they're aiming for. So excellent job there. Great paid attendance. For what I understand, this did really well on the pay-per-view buys as well, considering the fact that it was hindered by Kari, who's obviously just a huge global star for them, not being on the pay-per-view. But boy, I tell you what, they took advantage of the situation. Well, not advantage. They basically did the best they could with the hand that they were dealt, is what I wanted to say. You had Taichi and El Desperado on commentary, so I thought that was cool. We're really pushing the New Japan, Stardom team up here. So Let's get right into it, shall we? We go on to match number 1 for the Future of Stardom Championship. Hana defending against Miyu Yamasaki. Nice exchange of leg locks between champion and challenger. Miyu hits a pair of tornado DDTs. Well, the first one she kind of messed up a little bit, but she did a nice job recovering. Hana hits the pumping knee and then the rocker dropper for a 2 count, and then she goes to the pumping knee again. That gets countered into the knee bar. Miyu counters a knee bar attempt for the knee fall. Hana hits the pumping knee, finally building up that move, and the rocker dropper, a Hana special for the win. Hana looks really comfortable out here, where Miyu, she just seemed like she was a little bit off. I don't know if she was a bit nervous, or it's just maybe that Hana is coming off these matches with Julia and Mayu and Starlight Kid, where I think maybe she might have been working maybe a little bit too faster for Miyu. I'm not sure, but something about this match just it seemed just a little bit off. Obviously, Miyu's going to be fine. She's fantastic. It just yeah, for how well Hannon's matches are between the 5-star and her last 2 Future Stardom title defenses. This one is going to be one that I don't think I'm going to remember somewhere down the line. But like I said, Miyu is just going to be fine. Just put a little more work in. But I see this match happening a whole bunch of times somewhere down the future. I see the 2 of these, feuding, having a lot of matches down the future. As both these 2 are, I think Hana just turned 18 and Miyu is like 2021. So obviously the future is bright for the future of Stardom, literally. Okay, match number 2, Micah versus Hina. Now this is a match that was obviously added last minute because of Kari getting COVID, and then Micah and Himika. Obviously that tag match with Ami and Mirai had to be changed. But I thought Hina did a phenomenal job taking advantage of the spotlight here. Some really good grappling to start off the 2. Hina gets some impressive offense in, pretty much right off the ground grappling. Micah hits a lariat and then the Buzz Sawyer $1 Million Man style power slam to get a first really big advantage. Then Micah hits the discus lariat, followed by her spinning power slam, the flame drop, for the win. 3.25 stars. They didn't spend too much time out there. They didn't need to. I thought Hina did a really good job taking advantage of the spotlight, considering the fact that she was not supposed to be in this match. So really good job. They didn't let it go too long. Match number 3. We have a 3-way tag match. Again, another match that had to be shaken up a little bit by the co-main event being changed. We have the team of Oh My Julia, Mai Sakurai and Julia versus Rina Ruaka versus Mirai and Amisori. Non-stop action from all 6 ladies. I mean, as soon as the bell rang, I don't think anybody took a breath. Jeez. This is really good. Hina breaks up a pinfall with the double knees. Julia breaks up a pinfall with their Josie dropkick senton combination. I thought that was really good. Some really good chemistry with Rina and Mirai. I was like, if you're gonna tell me like what's gonna be the MVP pair of this match, I thought it would have been Mirai and Julia, or Ami and Julia. But I thought like the really good stuff in this match was Rina and Mirai. Basically comes down to the 2 of them, and Mirai taps out Rina with a double wrist lock, 3.5 stars. This just seemed like it was to spotlight Mirai and Amisori, as they pretty much just kind of just rolled through this match. Obviously they protected Julia, not that she needs any protecting because she's awesome, but obviously we know why they built Mirai and Amisori to kind of just run through this match, as we'll see later. Match number 4, we go to the Captain's Fall match, which we saw the Queen's Quest team of Azumi, Lady C, and Utami Aishista versus the Stars team of Saida, Momokogo, and Mayu Iwatani. Fast and furious pace right after the bell. This again, very similar to the previous match. As soon as the bell rings, they pack a lot in here. Mayu eliminates Lady C with a Hurricanrana. I thought that was a really cool spot, how Lady C goes to chokeslam Mayu, and then Mayu jumps up, hits the Hurricanrana pin, and gets rid of Lady C. So we have 1 elimination there. So how the Captain Falls works, it's either how it works here is either 2 members of the team have to be pinned, or the captain of the team has to be pinned, which I didn't know was Captain's Fall until this match started. So I guess that might be on me. Anywho, double 619 from Mayu and Momo. I thought that was really, really cool. The MM sisters, maybe. And again, I've talked about how with the Goddess of Stardom tournament just around the corner, what are some of the teams I would like to see? And with Thunder Rock probably not going to be in that tournament, I would like to see Mayu and Momo, as I think Momo will, just like how she's doing in the 5-star, I think she'll grow so much in a tag tournament teaming with Mayu. And these two have fantastic chemistry together. Um, Momo and Zumi have some super, super smooth exchange, basically picking up on their not only their 5-star match, but from their high speed match from a few months before. Azumi eliminates Momo with the Azumi Sushi. Really, really cool looking spot where Azumi hits the double stomp on the Ida, but she has to break up Mayu pinning Utami. I thought that was really, really cool how they chain those back and forth. Utami pins Ida with a sick German suplex. Really, almost like deadlifting Ida. And based on the two members of the Stars team are eliminated, Queen's Quest win 3.5 stars. Yeah, really, really fun match. Really liked how Azumi and Utami chained a lot of their offense together. Really good stuff. Okay, so we will get into the back half of this pay-per-view as we get into the championship matches. The Artists of Stardom championships are on the line as the champions representing Oedo Tai, Momowan Tanabe, Starlight Kid, and Saki Kashima defending against the Cosmic Colors team of Saki, all capital letters, Mina Shirakawa, and Unagi. And the Cosmic Colors team, the Cosmic Angels Colors team, they pull a Oedo Tai on Oedo Tai. They get the jump, and they get the jump on Saki Kashima. They hit her with some really good triple team moves until Oedo Tai uses some less than honorable tactics to get the advantage. Some really good exchanges between Starlight Kid and Unagi. Then it gets tagged out into Momo versus Mina, basically picking up where they left off from their 5-star match on night 2, which I absolutely loved. Really good strikes just being thrown back and forth between the two. Mina escapes the B driver, bastard driver combination, and then Momo goes for the punk kick with the wrench, but Mina blocks and counters with the glamorous collection Mina for near fall. Basically, so very similar to what she did on her 5-star match, kind of playing, throwing it back there from not that long ago, just a few weeks ago. And the crowd really bid on that. They really bid on that. So they did a good job playing that up. And based on the fact that Momo didn't kick out, Starlight Kid had to break it up. Starlight Kid and Momo double team Mina, and then Momo finally hits the pump kick. Peach Sunrise combination for the win. 3 3/4 stars. I thought this was really good. I thought they did a good job highlighting Mina. And very shocking to me that it wasn't Saki Kashima getting the win. They figured, just because the night before she pinned the champ with the deadliest move in all of Stardom, the Kishi Kasai. But hey, it was nice seeing Momo get a win here for a change, right? Match number 6. Okay, I got a lot of notes here for these last 3 matches. We go to the Goddess of Stardom Championship match as we see the team of Tam Nakano and Natsupoi. Who would have thought 2 months ago we would have said that, right? After the brutal matches. Taking on the champions FWC, Hazuki, and Koguma. I mean, you got to point out the phenomenal entrance from Tam and Natsupoi with the wings on the big screen, the two of them coming out dressed like either they're going to a prom or the wedding, regardless. I think as soon as they made their entrance, I think I tweeted something out like, if you never watched Stardom before and you just know a little bit about wrestling, you sat down and you watched that entrance, and that entrance alone, that you know that Tam and Natsupoi are big, big stars. And this Natsupoi going over to Cosmic Angels has done so much for her career, just because I don't want to say she's lost in the shuffle in Down Del Mundo, but you have like Shuri and Julia basically leading that group. Obviously, Shuri, broke apart back in the springtime after the World Climax match and created God's Eye. But then you have like Micah Himeka and Julia, such a huge star and such a huge presence. And Natsupoi was almost kind of like lost in the shuffle there a little bit. And this is just put a whole new huge spotlight on her. So, and then of course, Hazuki and Koguma, their entrance, you can just feel the presence of the champs. Like they feel like champs, and this felt like a big fight feel. The champs used some really good double team moves to assert their dominance. Again, Tam and Natsupoi only teaming up for a little bit, where Hazuki and Koguma, they've won the belts twice before, and they won the Goddess tournament last year. So really asserting their dominance. Hazuki picks up where she left off at the 5-star with Natsupoi, just being super stiff. And again, I mentioned Rob's name a little bit ago. He was watching this, and I saw this match live, and then he saw it like a few days after me. And he sent me a text, and he said, did Natsupoi run over Hazuki's dog because of how stiff she was? And then I said, are you talking about their 5-star match or the tag match? He's like, no, I'm watching the tag match. And I said, did you watch their 5-star match? And he's a little bit behind on it. And by the way, Rob told me to tell everyone hello. He's doing fine. And I said, I think the 5-star match, she's a little bit stiffer than Natsupoi. Like, yeah, I think Natsupoi tweeted out a picture of her face after their 5-star match and looked like that she got hit with a tire. So it's like, yeah, I don't know what's going on with the heat with Hazuki on Natsupoi. I mean, Natsupoi's been bringing it pretty well on Hazuki, but Hazuki is just bringing it back 10 times as worse. So yeah, I don't know what's going on. If anybody knows what's up with that, let me know. Or maybe they're just really good friends. You know, you just hit your friends harder. Tam gets the hot tag, and then it's Tam time as she quickly takes out both members of FWC. Really good stuff to highlight here. Her there, some stiff and fluid action between Hazuki and Tam. Tag back to Natsupoi and Koguma, and you can see the match is building. You know, really good build from there as the two of them bring in their high-speed offense kind of in the middle of the match. Good way to kind of take the ebbs and flows and ups and downs and different psychologies and twists and turns of the match. Double team moves from both teams as Suzuki hits her suicide dive, but Natsupoi pushes Koguma into the way. I thought that was really, really cool. Almost wipes out Koguma with that signature dive. And then a double dive from the challengers. I thought that was really cool, you know, showing the tag team cohesiveness between Tam and Natsupoi, where they climbed onto the ropes holding hands together, you know, just showing the bond between the two of them. I thought that was really good. Super kick and Pharaoh gift combo onto Koguma for 2. Natsupoi tries for the fairy strain, but the fairy strain German suplex counter, but Koguma counters in the Koguma roll for what I thought was the finish. We've seen Hazuki win several of these matches where she's getting pummeled at the end. You know, we saw it when they won the belts back against Momo and Momowan Tanabe, Starlight Kid. We saw with Amisori really put the boots towards Hazuki, and Hazuki just escapes last second for the Hazuki straw roll. I thought this was going to be kind of the similar thing, but just with Koguma doing it. But no, so close, 2 count. Not only did I bite, but everyone pretty much in the building bit as well. And then Tom and Natsupoi, they had a double super kick and the double fisherman's neckbreaker, followed up by the fairy strain for 3. New champs. Absolutely love this match. This is one of my all-time favorite Stardom tag team matches. I just at 4 3/4 stars. Obviously, my favorite Stardom tag team match, one of my favorite tag matches of all time, is Thunder Rock versus Meiko Satomura and Kari Hojo. Known back then as Kari Hojo. I just didn't get to that level, but it was close. It was close. I know some people saying, well, it took a little dive and Hazuki missed the springboard drop kick to break up the double team that was happening on Koguma, but that didn't take me out of it at all. That didn't take me out of it at all. Things happen. You know, for all the crazy stuff that they did, the fact that that's all it was and nobody got seriously hurt, it didn't take me out of it at all. 4 3/4 stars match. Again, this is probably my third favorite tag match I've seen all year. Probably behind the 2 FTR Briscoe brothers matches. That's how much I enjoyed it. Thoroughly loved this. I'm going to go back and visit this match again sometime soon. Match number 7. Wonder or Stardom champion. Saya Kamitani defending against Himeka. Himeka gets the call just on like 2 or 3 days notice. And, you know, so many people were disappointed that Kari she was sick, you know, tested positive for COVID. Can't help that. It happens. But boy, the match, there's, you know, quote unquote replacement match they gave us. Boy, this was something. And I'm a big fan of old school taking notes, and I try not to have one match go over a page just because I think it might be too worthy or too noted. This one is a page and a half, folks. So bear with me here. Bear with me. Hold on. Let me take a little sip here. Okay. Let's get into this one. Himeka tries to use her power early on, but she's countered with Saya's speed. Obviously, we figured that would be the psychology of the match, and they set it in place right from the get-go. These two have a stalemate of throwing forearms back and forth. Saya Kamitani, obviously known for her high-impact offense and her high-flying moves, but she's doing a really good job, you know, throwing the kicks and the forearms as well. Big fan of her forearms getting better each and every time. Especially, it means so much against somebody, you know, as strong as Himeka. The two of the ring basically test the will to see who's going to break first. Himeka hits a big back suplex and locks in the half grab, focusing on Saya's back. Himeka uses the Argentina backbreaker and pulls it into a lariat combination for 2. Then she hits a sliding lariat and then picks her up for the JP coaster for 2 again. Himeka tries the Queen's Landing. I noticed that. I was like, oh, she's going for the Queen's Landing. The Ocean City Cyclone Suplex. You know, shout out to either Manami Toyota or Bea Priestley, depending on what era of wrestling that you watch. But Saya slips out and hits a spin kick. She goes for the 450, but Himeka moves. Saya rolls through though, and then hits a few kicks, and then Saya finally hits the Star Crusher for 2 count. Did a good job building that up too. She went for it a couple times early on. I didn't note that here, but I remember she was going for it early on. She couldn't hit it, and then she got here. She missed the 450, one of her finishes, and then comes back hits the other one. I thought that was good. Um, she goes up for the 450 splash, the 450 or the Fireburn splash, and at this point when she hit that, I'm like, okay, that's the finish. I'm like, yeah, this is a pretty good match. It's like a 4-star, 4.25 star match. I thought it was excellent, and I thought that was the finish because we've seen Saya. She finished Himika's tag partner off Micah with the Star Crusher. Himika kicked out at 2, and then she hit the 450 into the Phoenix Splash. But we've seen that Saya's been using the 450 a lot often as a finisher. So I thought that was the finish. So, God, this is a good build. They got over Saya striking. Himika blitzed her in the middle with a whole bunch of stuff. I thought this was really good, 4.25 stars. But then Himika kicks out to the dismay of, not the to the shock of everybody. Me, Saya Kamatani, and Saya's selling here of like shock was just fantastic. And then this match goes into a completely different gear. Saya Kamatani goes to the top rope to finish her off with the Phoenix Splash, but Saya gets cut off. Two of them go back and forth. Looks like Saya's going to go for a top rope Hurricanrana. We've all seen the spot where I don't know if it just mistimed or what happened here, but Saya eats a nasty top rope power bomb. And when you go back and see the replay on it, Himika's like her butt and her legs, which is supposed to, talk inside baseball here because I know a lot of people here were worried about Saya Kamatani, including me. But you go back and watch the replay, Himika's butt and her legs, which is supposed to break the fall, they kind of hit almost the same time as like Saya's head. So I'm not saying Saya's head didn't hit off the mat. It hit pretty hard. But Himika, the Jumbo Princess, I think she took a lot of the brunt off her. So it wasn't as bad as it looked. The only person that knows how bad it was is Saya Kamatani. But for me being in that position a few times before, nowhere near as nasty as that, I don't think it's as bad as it looked. And obviously, this match ramped up the intensity. And if Saya Kamatani was hurt as much as it looked, she wouldn't have been able to do this finish. So, and I haven't heard anything, post-match if she had a concussion or anything, but hopefully she kind of just takes it easy as she ramps up for these next few days of the 5-star. Once ref says that Saya can go, Jumbo comes up with a Jumbo Sharuda-style knee and a concussion bomb for 2. I thought that was the finish. I was like, they're changing the belt. She just ate a top rope power bomb, the big knee, and then concussion bomb that beat Utami at night 1 of the 5-star. I thought that was it. Saya just refuses to stay down as this crowd is going, as Pat Patterson would say, banana. Really feels like we're getting a new champion. You can just feel like the air in the building just changing, the momentum in the building changing. Series of lariats sends the champ to the outside. Saya Kamatani desperately goes for a springboard splash, but she gets swatted out of the air with another clothesline from Himika. Himika hits the Rainmaker as well for 2. She hits another concussion bomb, kicks out of 2. She goes for the Queen's Landing. I mean, she's just straining things one after another after that brutal top rope power bomb. And then Saya Kamatani counters with the Poison Rana, and the way she landed was absolutely perfect because she just put all of her body weight onto Himika for the 3 count. We have never seen Saya has not retained her belt with the Poison Rana. I don't know. I've never seen her. She's only been wrestling 3 years, and I've seen a majority of her matches. I don't know if she's ever won a match with that. But the psychology of it made sense. You're dumping somebody, a bigger opponent, on their head and then swinging her legs and her body weight over her head, and then you're putting your body on top of that, and you just need a 3 count to win just to kind of survive. And that psychology of it made sense. Like, why would Saya's done? I mean, we have no idea how she kicked out of the Rainmaker, the 2 concussion bombs, all those lariats towards the end. So it's like, yeah, it'd be pointless for her to go for the 450 or the Phoenix Splash at that point. It's like, I just have to hit something, get a quick cover. Again, I say it all the time. It's the truth. It's not who goes over, who gets over. And I don't think anybody thought that Himika was winning the belt. But after the 2 concussion bombs, I was like, they're switching the belt. They're going to shock everybody. They're going to keep Saya's reign right at where Kari's reign is. And this is how it's going to end. And it didn't. It really took me. And Saya did a great job the 2 times that after the powerbomb where she got pinned, where her eyes were closed, she was not looking at the ref at all. And I was so bought in with the drama. I mean, Saya's had some really fantastic matches this year. I don't think when you're building towards a finish, she's had a better string where we thought we were gonna get a new champion. Especially in a match going in, nobody thought we were gonna get a new champion. This is 5 stars for me. This not only is this 5 stars, this is the best match I've ever seen Himika in. And this, I would really have to shuffle on where I put this as far as Saya's ranks. Again, it's another five-star match, in my opinion, for Saya Kamatani, who, again, I talked about the G1 at the beginning of this podcast, how I literally had, 1 and 2 for my rest of the year were flipped between Saya and Sherry, and then Will Ospreay was number 3. After what Will Ospreay did the last few matches of the G1, I had Will Ospreay leapfrogged to the number 1 spot, and after this match, Saya just took back the number 1 spot. To me, Saya Kamatani is the wrestler of the year. I know I said in this podcast before that her and Sherry, they constantly flip. I thought Sherry, and we're going to get into it in a few seconds, I thought her match with Nanae was fantastic. But for me, Sherry is the clear front runner for the wrestler of the year, and is having one of the greatest, if not, this will go down as the greatest white belt reign of all time. Again, we're still going to get the Kari match, which I really think she's going to have a successful title defense. And I think we're going to see her and Hazuki. I think Hazuki is going to be the one to pull the belt off. So if she only gets 2 more title matches, the Kari match and the Hazuki match, this is going to go down not only as one of, if not the greatest Wonder of Stardom title reign, but it's at a point where if she keeps putting bangers on like this, whether it's 1 or 2 more like this, you're going to have to start comparing it to Io's V14 as the greatest title reign in the history of Stardom. I mean, it's absolutely amazing, what Saya Kamatani's doing with the white belt. Unbelievable. Okay, we go on to the main event. God bless these 2 ladies for having to follow that. But that's one great thing about Stardom is the last 3 or 4 matches are just all back-to-back bangers. Very much, like New Japan a handful of years ago, where on their big pay-per-views, they were putting the last 3 or 4 matches were all 4 stars and above. So Sherry taking on their current World of Stardom champion, taking on Nanae Takahashi, the first World of Stardom champion. We knew what this was going to be. We weren't going to see any Phoenix splashes in this one. These 2 waste no time getting into their stiff strikes and stiff kicks and stiff slaps. Nanae hits a German suplex early on to try to take the advantage, but Sherry comes back using her ground and pound submission style offense that nobody in wrestling does better than her. And maybe Kyle O'Reilly's up there as well. But anywho, eventually Nanae has to go to the floor to rethink her strategy. The challenger comes in at Sherry full steam ahead with some brutal headbutts and suplexes. They go back and forth trading blows. Nanae gets the better of Sherry with some of the blows. She hits the refrigerator bomb for 2, and then the Northern Lights bomb for 2. That was a sick-looking Northern Lights bomb. Reminding me of Steve Corino in 0-1 in the early 2000s. Yikes. She tries for the MX, but Sherry, that's the go-to, her MX. But Sherry slips behind for a rear naked choke to start to slow down the offense of Nanae. Then she switches to the Ruan. She hits the Ruan. I thought that was really cool. How she had her on the choke, she slowed her down. Figured, let me put you away with the my head spike finisher. She hits the Ruan for a count of 2. Nanae comes back with a big German suplex and then hits the MX, but only gets 2. Nanae is fired up and throws a series of stiff, sickening headbutts, but Sherry counters with a head kick and then a buzzsaw kick for 2. The 2 trade again, back and forth. This time Sherry gets the advantage with a series of Muay Thai knees, and then Nanae collapses down to the ground. The crowd is at almost a hush here because it's they think that she's knocked out here. And I thought they were going to do a knockout finish, which I wouldn't have been opposed to. Standing 9 count, Sherry blitzes with a brutal head kick and then hits an Andre the Giant meets Katsuri Shibata style headbutt to the back of Nanae's head, and then picks Nanae up for the Vermilion World for the 1, 2, 3. I had this at 4.25 stars. I absolutely love this match. I know this match has been kind of very much like the Sherry versus Mayu match at World Climax. It's kind of hit or miss with some people. And again, that's your opinion. You could have liked it. You could have loved it. I know some people didn't think it got out of third gear. I disagree. I thought it was excellent. There was some parts were dragged a little, but I thought that this was what it needed to be. Sheer brutality. Sheer brutality, especially coming off that fantastic World of Stardom, Wonder of Stardom championship match. But absolute sheer brutality. Another fantastic title defense for Sherry. And then this is another one. She's having an all-time year as well. Absolutely terrific. It just seems like Saya Kamatani just seems to be putting a little bit more pressure on Sherry as to see who is the the better of the two champions. But unbelievable what Stardom's doing. These last, it was a pretty decent card, just because of everything got shaken up with those last four matches. The four title matches were absolutely fantastic. And again, Stardom just does it again. And they drew 1,300 people on the show. Absolutely fantastic. So before we'll close out, I forgot to do this. I will go through my top 5 favorite matches. And I don't have this written down. I kind of like just doing this off the cuff, as I know we're getting close to the hour and 20-minute mark here to wrap up. But top 5 matches of this tournament. So let's go with, and again, I've kind of been rewatching the matches from time to time. So certain things have been changing. So let's go with number 5, Natsupoi versus Momowan Tanabe. Let's go with number 4, Sayakama Tani versus Natsupoi. Let's go with number 3, Sayakama Tani versus Starlight Kid. Let's go with number 2, Hazuki versus Julia. And let's go with number 1, still for me, is Utami versus Sherry. Again, some of these matches I'm going back and revisiting or visiting certain psychologies of it. So some of these matches are getting kind of flipped back and forth. But as of this recording, that's my top 5. My top 2 really hasn't changed with Hazuki and Julia and Utami versus Sherry. And my MVP of the tournament thus far, hands down, is Hazuki. So, okay, I knew that was going to be a little bit longer. And again, I thank everybody for tuning in. I thank all the new listeners. I know we've got a whole bunch of new listeners this past week. I appreciate the questions. I've got a lot of questions coming. Where do I start with Stardom? I just got into this. Where do I go from here? Thank you so much. I hope whatever I'm saying is being helpful. I hope whatever advice I'm giving you is helpful as well. I'm really glad that you're enjoying Stardom. Again, they seem to be doing well. If we're having a whole bunch of new listeners, not only to the Patreon, but to the weekly show as well. And, keep the questions coming. Keep the positive feedback coming. Keep any feedback coming. Again, this isn't just my podcast. This is your podcast. So coming up for the Patreon listeners, in the next week, you will be getting the Tony Storm 2017 5-star Grand Prix review. I just recorded that, sent that in the can. Before I keep ranting here, God bless my man, Mr. Sean Montrose, because I'm literally sending him 3 podcasts in about 24 hours time. So God bless him. He's got to edit those together. And by the way, Sean did my intro for my 20th anniversary match and did a absolutely fantastic job, considering the fact that we had to pull him in almost, not last second, but our match was supposed to be match number 7. A couple people got injured, so literally last second they pulled our match from 7 to 3, and he wasn't dressed yet. So I'm like, get on your suit, brother, and get you a drink of water, because you're on in about 1 minute, kid. So he did a fantastic job, and thank you so much, buddy, for all that you do and continue to do for this podcast. So the Tony Storm one will be up by the end of the month. That is for all the white belt and red belt tier Patreon members this coming Monday. The next watch along, again, you asked, I deliver. Patreon members have said, I want more Arisa Hoshinki. You're going to get it. So Arisa Hoshinki versus Utami Hayashishita from the 2019 5-star Grand Prix. That will be in your feeds on the 19th, or not the 19th, on Monday, sometime on Monday morning. And also the poll is now up and running. I just put it up just yesterday. I put up Tuesday. So for what the Patreon members, what you want me to cover for the month of September, again, the top 2 vote getters is what I will cover on the month of September. We have Julia's white belt reign. We have Io Shirai's red belt reign. The V10, the V14 is in the archives. You can go back and listen to that. I believe that was the very first Patreon episode. The Utami and Momo goddess reign. Figured throw a little tag stuff in there. And the Hazuki high speed reign. So you have red belt, high speed belt, goddess belt, and white belt. So a little mixture of everything. And I've had some people tweet at me and said, hey, is there any way that you can do all 4? Eventually I will probably get to it. It'll get to a point where some of these poll losers, some of the ones that come in 3rd and 4th that don't qualify for the Patreon, that I'm going to go back and put them up on the poll, just because I know some people do want me to cover them, and I would like to watch them and cover them as well. Okay. So with that being said, any questions, comments, anything that I can do to help your day get a little bit brighter, that's what I'm here for, guys. Please hit me up on Instagram and or the Twitter, Matt Turner OF, or you can hit up the Stardom Cast on Twitter, as I do check that from time to time. So that's going to be it for this week, as I'm going to sign off. Thanks, everybody, for listening to this almost 90-minute episode. Greatly appreciated. I appreciate all the positive feedback. Keep the reviews coming. Keep the 5-star reviews coming up on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcasts, as it does help out the algorithm as we're trying to get this podcast out to as many people as possible. And we're trying to spread the fantastic news and the fantastic wrestling that is all things Stardom. So Matt Turner signing off for this episode. Remember, we're all in this together, and everybody's different, everybody's special. Have a great day, great night. And remember, your Uncle MT, he loves you. Bye-bye.